and they stop telling me I'm crazy. Bang, bang, maybe I will learn then, when the whole world's screaming save me. Bang, bang, and everything is burning, burning, burning down. Where y'all turning, turning, turning now? I can't wait till the world ends.
Welcome back to a very special episode on location. I know I promised you guys something from Uganda. That's still on the table. I can't guarantee it's going to happen. It's been postponed. It's on the other side of the planet. Stuff's going on there that's not going on here. So we'll see where that goes. But I do have a very special guest. This is Wade Wonders.
Hello.
Very smart guy. He's an artist. I wanted to have Wade on to talk about Operation Paperclip, right?
Oh,
Operation
I know
Paperclip.
a little bit about it.
Yeah, but I've got something too exciting to talk about right now. We're not going to get into that. Can't wait till the world ends, and don't have a lot of time. So let's have fun with it.
Hold on just a second. Is that... I thought there was a rainbow in the scythe of your Reaper. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, maybe next time. So, I've got some really exciting statistics to talk about.
Yeah, I looked these over earlier.
This is from YouGov America. It's if you go to today.yougov.com, topics, politics, you should be able to get to these same statistics. I'm going to put them in the information, the description below, so you can look at these yourself. Very telling. This is, when I saw these statistics, I thought, this is getting to what? This is explaining what I've been trying to put together, articulate for the last month now. And I'm just going to read. So what they did here was they polled a sample population, very diverse group. A lot of interesting stuff about the diversity of the group that I'll get into later. So they asked them, the question they asked them was, how many Americans blank? Like, how many Americans have a household income of over 1 million? How many Americans are transgender? How many Americans are Muslim? And then they took the poll numbers and they took the U.S. Census numbers and compared them to what most this is a good sample of what a cross-section of America believes, right next to the actual reported numbers to the U.S. Census Bureau. Right. So I did some background on this.
On the study?
Yes.
Like who did it and whatnot?
And that they have done this study before in other countries. Mm-hmm. So there's some older studies in Britain, and they actually have a list of ranking of countries who got it the most right, who have the most realistic view of what their country actually is. Mm-hmm. And I believe India was number one because, for one thing, I'd say most of the people in India are probably of Indian ethnicity.
Assumedly.
Yeah. So you got a chance to look this over. Before I get into it, is there anything that pops out to you?
The numbers made sense when I read the article you sent me. I understood. It seemed logical. I was like, of course. Everybody kind of leans towards the middle when they don't really know how to guess on something if they're not completely supplied with information. There was one thing I did like at the very end I thought was very interesting. Towards the end of the study, they talked about if educating people on the data and them becoming informed of the data didn't change their view emotionally of immigration. They were just more knowledgeable in whether they love or hate the situation with immigrants. And I thought it was funny that they brought that up. It's kind of like stats don't matter, even though that's what it is stats. It's interesting in that way.
So I'm probably going to superimpose this scale right here so you can kind of see what we're talking about. So it's just this pattern that you see right here. You've got the true proportion over here, what people think over here. And as they go through the topics, it switches to where the true proportion comes over here on this side, and the estimated proportion comes over here on this side. And what's interesting about this is what we're talking about here. So in the first questions that are asked, have a household income of over 1 million. Most Americans, the poll median or whatever was 20%. People believe that 20% of Americans are rolling around in Benz and wearing Gucci, and they're all millionaires.
That'd be nice.
Are transgender. I looked at the actual statistic was, I believe, would round down to 0%. So the actual percent here
was 0.4.
The actual percent here is 1%. I mean, the actual is would round down to 0. People believe that 21% of Americans are transgender. Yeah. Which, see, when you start thinking about this, is why? So there's 26% they believed were Muslim, where it's 1%. The actual number is 1% is Muslim. Native American, they believe that there was 27% of the population is Native American, when it's actually 1%.
That one surprised me.
Gay or lesbian, 3% is the actual number. People thought that 30%. Bisexual, kind of the same thing. 4% are actually bisexual. 20. Where are we getting at? Let's get into race. Are black. People believe that 41% of the country is black, when the actual number is 12%. Same thing. This is, I thought, was very interesting. Where is Asian? Mm-hmm. They believe that 39% of the population is Asian.
Yeah.
And it's actually 6%.
Mm-hmm. We're a melting pot. That's what it is, right? And
then you got the stuff where we get closer to the actual people believed that, let's see, they believe that 51% of people are Democrats. It was actually 42%. People believe that 50% were Republicans. It's actually 47%. Married, the 51 to 55% have at least one child. 57 to 50, that's the closest one. People believe about half the people have one child, and that's correct. Then here's where it flips. So people believe that 58% of the population are Christians. Mm-hmm. The actual number, according to the Census Bureau, is 70. A lot more Christians than people think. Make over $25,000 a year. The actual number is 77%. People believe it's 50%. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, why do so many Americans believe that everybody is a minority and has a lot of money?
Right.
Yet they don't believe that very many people are Christian or make over $25,000 a year. There was another good one in there on education. Where's the education? Household income, at least a college degree. 47. That surprised me that 47% of people have a college degree. Mm-hmm. That's almost 50%. Of course, I guess you got associates in there and stuff. I'm thinking bachelors.
Yeah, I'm sure they count anything.
So people believe that only 33%. They believe a lot of people are less educated and poor and minorities and are millionaires and are transgender, and I'm by a huge percentage. A quarter of the people are transgender when it's actually less than 1%. Mm-hmm. What do you think that says about society, our society, at this current point? Why do you think there's so much disparity between the real numbers and the perceived numbers?
It's possible that your view into the world being entertainment and news probably might have some sway on how you see the world, and then you put these numbers down and it kind of makes sense. Kind of follows a narrative if there is one.
See, we're just talking about the statistics right now. I'm not even talking about if it's good or bad.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
But when you have, it reflects a lot of. There's small groups that are pushing, that have a lot of power, pushing for huge social change. So there's a group. It's a lobbyist group, an activist group called GLAAD, Gay and Lesbians Against Defamation.
Sure.
And they unceasingly petition the entertainment industry, as in TV and movies, to represent homosexuality, transgender. So when you watch movies nowadays, almost everything out there that comes out has a main character that's gay or transgender. Transgender's kind of a new thing for that, but there's a lot of homosexuality, a lot of that doesn't accurately portray it overrepresents. The same thing with African Americans, especially with all the last few years. We've had a lot of the riots for right or wrong, right? For injustice. There's been a huge media push to put emphasis on every streaming channel has black voices.
Sure.
You got it on almost anything. And so I believe that that is why, they're so flooded with the images that are. I'm not saying it's bad to represent.
Right.
I am saying that it is overrepresented, which is leading to a false idea that there is way more of certain minority groups than there actually is. Same thing with income. If you think there's a bunch of millionaires and you think most people don't make anything,
right,
that's going to change your whole outlook on life,
for sure.
Even though it's not based on reality.
Right.
So, and like what you were saying before, it didn't change much. What they expected to find in this, when I was reading deeper into it, is that the minority groups would underrepresent them, or underrepresent themselves, and the majority groups would overrepresent what they thought of the minority groups. Like, so they thought that white people would think that there was more black people because they were intimidated by the number of another race, and that black people would think that there is more black, that there is less black people than there actually is, because they would feel that they are marginalized, right?
Okay.
So, but what actually happened was they're both pretty much the same,
right?
Or across the board. So that kind of what you would think. If racism was such a problem, you would expect to see this.
Yeah.
But what you're seeing is that everybody pretty much across the board thinks the same thing. So there's a common denominator, and I believe it's culture that I think it doesn't accurately represent.
Right. There's a whole other reality floating out there that we can.
And the bad thing about that is people make big decisions, especially on who governs.
Yeah.
If you think that everybody's millionaires and that nobody has any money or education, you're going to want to vote somebody that's going to take their money away and give it to you.
Right. Well, who doesn't like free money? I like free money.
So, along the lines of the people believe there's almost 50% African American, right? When the actual number is closer to 12%. And I've got some more statistics right here from Guttmacher Institute.
Okay.
I did some research on the source, and it seems to be even on the left. This is kind of a respected source right here.
Okay.
And it says that if you look right here, we got a chart on abortions.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to something here. Chart on abortions. Whites make up 34% of abortion. Okay. And I'm not even gonna get into the other and Hispanic. I'm just getting into white and black. Black makes up 37% of abortion. Now, you would think that's kind of evenly represented until you realize that only 12% of the population is black. And 70% of the population, over 70% of the population, is white. So you have a small percent. So even though the whites make up such a big block here, that's just a small percent of the white people.
Right.
And you got a small percent of the populations. And I've got another statistic straight from the Census Bureau of 2001 that shows population by race. We've got 36% white and only 13% that are either black or African American alone. So that's they just identify as black. So it seems like we've got some policies and some practices, such as abortion, that is because of the perception. It is actually very damaging to minority communities.
Right.
To me, what I see here is that's a horrible. Whether you like or dislike for or against abortion, why? What would the population of the African American community be if they didn't have such a huge overrepresentation of abortions on here? And why is that how do we rectify that? How do we, unless we know?
We could take Planned Parenthood out of inner cities.
Yeah. We also have to, based on these statistics, people need to know. Okay, this is what I've been saying for a while. We don't live in reality. What we think, it's the Weird Al song. Everything you know is wrong.
Right.
Up is down, black is white, and short is long.
Right. And
everything you ever thought was just so important doesn't matter anyways, because everything you know is wrong. We've got a huge. It's a sample, right? It's probably off by a few points.
Right.
And I'm saying that because they polled white, minority, gay, straight, Christian, atheist. They polled there's more whites, there's more Christians. So, I'm not sure how they represented the poll. Did they poll more whites or did they poll them all evenly? I don't know. All I know is if that's a cross-section of the population, most of the population thinks the complete opposite of what's true. And that is dictating how we vote, how we raise our kids, how we interact in society, what we want to see on TV.
Well, voting's just a thing we kind of sort of participate in now for fun. It's not really voting anymore.
It's a bleak thought.
Yeah.
But hey, that's my whole point.
Keep the candidates interesting.
The world is burning down. I ain't going to get sad about it. I'm going to ride the wave.
Created by a nuclear explosion.
Nuclear. What is... My daughter asked me today, why is a nuclear bomb called a nuclear bomb?
Why?
She asked me.
Oh. I thought this was
Then she asked me, is it because of the nucleus of an atom? And then I got kind of discombobulated because I was like, yeah, well, nuclear bombs have to do with, with atoms and that's how the atomic bomb worked, right? We're splitting the atom. But nuclear has, has more to do with nuclear radiation, nuclear reactions. I don't have my computer right here. I can't cheat.
Listen, I've seen the miniseries on Chernobyl, and I've heard about nuclear bombs in the ether, and I gather that they're pretty bad. I don't want one to go off unless it's directly on top of me.
So seeing that show about Chernobyl. What do you think about nuclear power? Nuclear power plants.
It's great. I love nuclear power. We need it everywhere. I've seen this thing where they were doing small-scale non-manned reactors outside of towns, and they're just big enough to run a town. So if something goes wrong with it, there's a lot of redundancy systems and stuff to keep it from, messing up. But it's super safe and a lot more efficient and environmentally friendly. We just have to figure out what to do with all the waste later on. I think right now we're burying it in giant weird vats in a mountain somewhere in Nevada or something. I don't know how much of that's true, but I'm pretty sure they bury it. And they're just like, we'll figure it out someday.
I'd like to explore the waste part at some point. I'm not read up on it right now, but I did watch a YouTube video, so it has to be accurate. Mm-hmm. That the waste that they're burying, the amount of it that is so minute, like the waste that comes from other types of energy,
right,
is thousands of percents more volume,
right,
and more dangerous.
Nuclear power is very.
I mean, I've seen it on YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's fact.
Yes.
Until proven wrong.
No, just always fact. Double
because,
down. Don't worry about it.
Because I also saw on YouTube that until 1851, might have been a little bit before that there was a advanced civilization of Tartars living in a country called Tartaria, which is now Ukraine and Poland, and very advanced electrical technology civilization, and they built stuff all over the place. All of our old Capitol buildings we couldn't recreate now because they were built by Tartarians, and the elite did a global reset and buried it all with mud in a mud flood reset that they do over and over again.
When was this?
1851.
Oh God, that's a long time ago.
So it was on YouTube, so it's probably true.
Likely. At first, I thought you said tauntauns.
I think sometimes, and it's what I've heard. These secret society groups, like the Illuminati, and I believe that there is an Illuminati.
I think it's spelled wrong.
Okay.
It should be, the naughty part should be Naughty.
Okay.
If we're going to have villains, they need to at least be like Saturday morning cartoon villains. That way I can have a little fun when I read the news.
I want to go into more of the Tartarian stuff.
Okay.
But when you brought up villains, we've got some
Rockefeller.
We've got some real contenders.
Can we talk about Rockefeller for a second?
Okay.
I watched a previous episode of yours, and you were bringing up pharmaceuticals and drugs, kind of in a general sweep. And did you know about Rockefeller pretty much silencing all like other forms of medicines that weren't based on his industry he was building with petroleum and all that?
Not in depth.
Not in depth. I've only seen a couple things on it.
I do know that Rockefeller. I know the most popular one is David Rockefeller, but this goes back before him, that the Rockefellers made their fortune after consulting Missourian Edgar Casey, who would go into a trance and consult the Universal Rolodex, which told him how to predict futures. He's the guy that predicted the Mississippi River would run backwards, and then there was the New Madrid earthquake, which caused the Mississippi River to run backwards.
Sure.
And it seems like, and from experiences that, asking for a friend, that I've heard of altered states of reality,
right?
That there are things that you learn that couldn't just come from your brain.
Oh, okay.
Because you find out that they are indeed true,
Right.
And so he was talking to somebody, and David Rockefeller wanted to know what that somebody was saying. Mm-hmm. It's just like Aleister Crowley consulted Lamb. He used to go into a trance and consult a big-headed, looks like a gray alien. He drew sketches of him.
Oh, okay.
And he would tell him how to do these weird...
How come I've heard that name before? Who's this Crowley guy? Give me a little...
He was his other name was 666 the Beast. He was an occultist.
Did he write that book? No. Who wrote the Satanist Bible?
I'm not sure if that's who wrote it, but you're probably thinking of Adam Levine.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Different person, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aleister Crowley I don't know if he created Theosophy, which is kind of he did a lot of weird stuff. He pops up a lot if you study communism in the communist undercurrent in America, and like he is the conspiracy theory is he got it on with Barbara Bush, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, she liked him a lot. He was apparently doing a seance to bring something through the other dimension.
Through Barbara Bush?
No.
Oh.
Possibly, because a lot of his stuff had to do with
that comes later.
Sex magic.
Yeah.
He was doing a big thing. He was doing a big thing to bring something through when Roswell, New Mexico happened.
Oh.
So, interesting stuff. Aleister Crowley. His name was actually Crowley, but he liked it pronounced Crowley because it was like a parody of holy.
Oh. Is there a famous picture of him where he's... Yep, that's the one.
He's got the all-seeing eye.
That's where I've seen him from.
That's old Crowley. Bald head. Looks kind of intimidating, really. Looks...
You know who he reminds me of?
You know who he reminds me of? I'm looking at he's bald and...
Oh, God. I always forget his name. The guy who's the comedian who did the Mighty Mouse thing. I know a bunch of his work. I just always
Andy
forget
Coleman?
Andy Kaufman.
Kaufman.
They both seem like they're cut from the same cloth, these two guys. Kaufman was a pretty funny guy. This Crowley guy seems like a pretty funny guy.
I guess it depends on what end of the satanic... I'm not exact. He did these... He had to do like these 10 satanic rites
That's a nice
to get some kind
number.
of special power, and each one had to be more...
right. It's theatrics.
Degrading than the... You know, and he used... There's the three things that conjure spirits, blood, feces, and... Okay.
That's the one, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Try to keep it family friendly, but
Semen. That's the better term.
Yeah. So, man, I was just too excited about those statistics. Still, go check it out. Go check these statistics out and just look at them and just wrap your brain around what it means that so many Americans believe that things are so different, or not just different, but almost the opposite of what they actually are. Just ask, do some critical thinking. Don't just listen to what I'm saying, but do some critical thinking and ask yourself, why? What is this, and what implication does it have?
This is the same link that you sent me. Correct?
Yes.
It is an interesting read, and it's fairly short, so you don't have to get super in-depth and worry about having to take a big chunk of your time out. Do it like how I do all news and business, on the toilet. Just kind of scroll through, catch up.
And it also has links to other stuff. So it has an actual link to the...
Don't click on that. That's too much work.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we're a TikTok generation now.
Keep it simple.
So that's about as much as my camera's going to roll, so I'm going to have to...
Has it been this long already?
It has been this long. I told you.
How many minutes do we have left?
What does it say up there? There should be a number.
Wow.
What does it say?
Nailed it.
What does it say?
29 and some change.
Okay, so we're going to have to close this right now. I'm going to go ahead and cut your camera off because it's going to do it by itself. Thanks for watching. Going to have Wade on again, I believe, in the near future. And
if you can find me.
If I can. I had to come to his house. Mm-hmm. So.
Coronavirus and all. I don't let many people in my house.
Yeah.
So he's very lucky.
I was just thinking of when you see these things that pop up and it's like 5 years from YouTube and everything.
Oh God!
And not YouTube, Facebook. And I was thinking that I was going to put in like a parody of that and say, "I'm so glad Corona's finally over," but have it on a thing that says like 2019. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm gonna put a screen up here on so you can subscribe and all that, and catch you next time.
I can't wait till the world ends and they stop telling me I'm crazy. Bang, bang.